I always thought betrayal would feel like a punch to the gut. Something quick, violent, and over in seconds. But the truth, it's slower. It seeps in like cold water, under a closed door unnoticed at first, until you're standing ankle, wondering how the hell you didn't see it coming. The night it all started, I was making dinner garlic bread in the oven, pasta boiling on the stove, wine glasses ready on the counter. Mark was due home any minute. We'd been together for 6 years, engaged for 2, and I thought my life was finally aligning with the picture I'd carried in my head. Since I was 20, house in the suburbs, lazy Sunday mornings, a partner who knew me better than I knew myself. When Mark walked in that night, he was smiling, but it wasn't the kind of smile I'd fallen in love with. His eyes didn't match. I remember noticing it, the way you notice a tiny hairline crack in a window small enough to ignore. But something in you knows it'll get worse. We ate, we laughed, or at least, I did. He was quieter than usual, glancing at his phone between bites. I asked who it was, and he just shrugged. Work. That was red flag number 1. Mark hated working late. The following week, there were more little things. Late nights at the office, new cologne I hadn't seen him wear before, clothes smelling faintly of perfume that wasn't mine. When I mentioned it, he grinned and told me I was imagining things. And for a while, I almost believed him. Almost. You see, the thing about being in love is that it makes you complicit in your own blindness. You tell yourself stories to patch over the holes in reality. You excuse what you'd never tolerate from anyone else. I started noticing his phone was always face down. He began showering the moment he got home, something he'd never done before. He guarded his laptop with the same vigilance someone might protect classified government files. And every time I asked questions, he'd flip it back on me. Why are you being so paranoid? That's the thing about gaslighting. It makes you question not just the person you love, but your own sanity. One night he told me he had to go on a business trip to Seattle. Just 3 days. Something in his tone, it was too casual, too rehearsed. I smiled, kissed him goodbye, and told him to have fun. But the moment the door shut, I felt that cold water creeping higher. I didn't confront him. Not yet. Instead, I started paying attention. Every receipt he left lying around, every timestamp on every photo he posted. I even noticed his credit card bill had a charge for a hotel in our city on a night he'd told me he was stuck late at work. That was the night I realized the truth. And here's the funny thing. Once you know, once you've let yourself say it out loud in your head, he's cheating. You can't unknow it. It's like a cracked mirror. No matter how you angle it, you'll always see the break. I wasn't going to cry. Not yet. I wasn't going to scream or beg. I decided I would collect proof, enough to make him choke on his own lies when the time came. The next week, I followed him. Not every day, just enough to keep him unaware. I became invisible in my own life, slipping between routines, keeping my voice light when we spoke, masking my disgust when he kissed me. Every fake smile I gave him was another nail in the coffin of our relationship. And then, I saw her, was younger, pretty in that predictable, Instagram filter kind of way. They were sitting in a cafe, laughing like they'd known each other forever. He touched her hand across the table, and I swear my vision narrowed to a single burning point. Stayed long enough to watch them leave together, long enough to see his arm slip around her waist, long enough to know I wasn't imagining anything anymore. That night, lying in bed next to him, I stared at the ceiling and planned. I didn't want revenge in the heat of the moment. I wanted it cold, methodical, the kind that leaves scars no one else can see, but that never stop bleeding. He thought he knew me. He thought I'd cry, beg, maybe threaten to leave, and then get over it. He had no idea what I was capable of when pushed far enough, and by the time I was done, he'd wish I had just walked away. When the dust settled after that night, I thought maybe I'd feel lighter. I thought the weight would lift off my chest. But that's the thing about betrayal, it leaves residue. You can wipe the surface clean, but deep down, the stain is permanent. And every time I saw her face in my mind, every time I remembered her laugh, that stain bled through. The fallout was ugly. Friends took sides, and most of them didn't take mine. She was always the charming one, the social butterfly, the one who could twist any story in her favor. I wasn't surprised when I heard the rumors how I was controlling, how I had trust issues, how I overreacted. They didn't know the truth. They didn't see the messages I found, the late-night phone calls, the receipts for hotel rooms to cities over. I didn't bother defending myself. Let them believe what they wanted. The truth wasn't for them, it was for me. I kept my silence, but silence is not the same as surrender. The thing about knowing someone's secrets is, you can destroy them in ways they never see coming. I didn't scream. I didn't post anything online. Instead, I started pulling threads quietly, methodically. I knew where she was weakest, where her facade was paper-thin. She'd just landed a new job at a boutique marketing firm, her fresh start, as she called it. I also happened to know her work trips weren't exactly business-related, and I happened to know the HR manager. One conversation, one very calm, very detailed conversation, was all it took. I didn't even have to embellish. The truth was enough. She lost the job within a week, but I wasn't finished. Her perfect little apartment, the one she bragged about on Instagram, wasn't as secure as she liked to pretend. She'd been late on rent twice, and her landlord was already looking for an excuse to evict her. I gave him one, a single envelope with copies of certain photographs. Let's just say they weren't exactly family-friendly. She was out by the end of the month. I followed the ripples of her downfall like a man watching dominoes fall slow. Inevitable, almost graceful in their destruction. Friends stopped returning her calls. The ones who used to tag her in every night out photo stopped inviting her. Her social media became quieter, then private, then gone altogether. I didn't do it out of spite, not entirely. I did it because she needed to feel what it was like to have the ground ripped out from under her. She needed to know what it's like when the life you built, the image you protected, crumbles in your hands. And maybe I needed to know I still had that kind of power. A year passed. I rebuilt. New job, new apartment, new people in my life who didn't know her name. But the thing about scars is, even when they've healed, they still itch when the weather changes. And one rainy afternoon, as I was walking out of a cafe, I saw her. She was thinner, her hair a mess, wearing a jacket that looked 2 sizes too big. She didn't see me, or maybe she did, but pretended not to. She crossed the street without looking back. Her steps were hurried, almost desperate. I watched her go, her figure shrinking against the gray cityscape, until she disappeared into the crowd. For a moment, I felt nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, just a quiet understanding. I had ruined her life, and somehow, that wasn't the victory I thought it would be. The real victory was knowing I had survived her. I had walked through hell and come out colder, sharper, untouchable. That night, I sat by my window, listening to the rain tap against the glass. I thought about all the time I had wasted loving her, defending her, believing in her. And I realized something: revenge doesn't erase the past. It doesn't heal you, but it gives you closure, in a way apologies never can. People say revenge doesn't heal you. Maybe they're right, but it sure as hell makes the scars a little easier to live with. 1 year later, the final move. It is strange how life can be so quiet on the surface, while the undercurrent is still pulling you towards something inevitable. A year had passed since I watched her world crumble. I should have felt done, satisfied, and in a way, I was bad. There's a difference between breaking someone and making sure they never rise again. Asterisk, she had left town for a while, moving to a smaller city 2 states away. Rumor was she was trying to rebuild her life. Different friends, different job, different name on social media. But you can't run from the truth when enough people are willing to remind you. And in her case, I was one of them. I didn't stalk her, not in the way people imagine. I didn't follow her in the shadows. I followed her through the internet, quietly, patiently. Every new profile she made, I found it. Every new job she started, I'd learn the company name, the manager's info. Sometimes I'd do nothing right away. I'd wait, let her settle in, let her think she'd finally escaped the mess she created. Then, like clockwork, I'd plant a single seed of doubt in the right place. An anonymous tip here, a suspicious email there, a link to certain news articles about her past, and it worked. Every single time. By month 6, she'd lost 2 jobs, 3 apartments, and whatever fragile confidence she'd tried to stitch together. Her social media went silent. She stopped posting selfies. She didn't look like the same girl I once knew, the one who smiled like she owned the room. Now, even in group photos, she stood in the background, eyes darting to the side like she was waiting for the floor to collapse under her feet. But here's the thing. Revenge has a way of eating at you too. People don't talk about that part. I'd wake up some nights wondering if I'd gone too far. Then I'd remember the night she looked me in the eyes and lied without a flicker of guilt, and I'd know I hadn't even gone far enough. That's when I decided to make my last move. I found out she'd been seeing someone new, a guy who, from all appearances, was decent, steady job, good family. Probably thought he'd met a woman who had just been through a rough patch. I almost left it alone. Almost, but this man had no idea the fire he was standing next to. So I reached out, not directly. I sent him a package. Inside was a single envelope with photo screenshots, old texts, copies of the messages she sent me while she was lying to my face, alongside evidence of how she'd manipulated people for years. I didn't include a note. I didn't need to. 2 weeks later, I heard from a mutual acquaintance that she'd been dumped. Not just dumped, humiliated. He confronted her in public, loud, angry, and then he walked away without looking back. And that was it. I didn't check on her after that. I didn't follow her profiles. I didn't ask around, because I knew I'd taken everything she'd built, twice. I'd broken the illusion once, and then I'd shattered the pieces she tried to put back together. Some people call it cruel. Some people say I should have let go after the first strike. But those people don't know what it's like to be lied to so deeply that it rewires you. They don't know what it's like to spend years with someone who treats your love as a disposable mask they wear until they find something better. I'm not proud, but I'm not sorry either, because now, when I walk into a room, I carried the quiet certainty that she will never forget my name. And that's the kind of justice you can't put a price on.